So today I've got a quick tip for you about how you can earn Delta Skymiles every time you buy a drink or something to eat at Starbucks. Also, we're going to talk about whether or not we should still be traveling on cruise ships with those EMED COVID tests. What's going on with dining on cruise lines? What does the future hold? I think that some reports that we're getting back on the Norwegian Prima indeed show the way things are going to go in the future with dining on cruise ships. And finally, we are going to put up our Santorini vlog today for when we were there this summer, and there's just a couple of things that I think that you need to know for sure before you go to Santorini for the first time, so I'm going to tell you that as well. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips, and today I'm doing this Saturday night actually, but this is for Sunday, October 16th. Like I said, we are going to be putting up our vlog for Santorini, so make sure that you look for that video today as well. But first of all, there are several things that I wanted to talk to you about. So first of all, if you link your Starbucks account with your Delta Skymiles account, you can get points every time you buy something at Starbucks, and the points give you miles on Delta. And the fun thing is that when you go to Starbucks and buy something on the day that you fly, you get double points on that day. And so that they say if you link the two accounts together by December 31st of this year, you get an extra 150 stars, which is worth 500 miles on Delta. So if you're someone that goes to Starbucks and flies Delta, there you go. Now, I heard from a Let's Go family member, and I found this really very interesting, and I think it's something we all need to know. They were sailing on the Emerald Princess. Her husband tested positive for COVID. So when he had to quarantine there in their stateroom, but she was allowed to go out and about on the ships. She said that she was not allowed to go to any of the dining rooms, but she could go to other places. She said 3 days later, they knocked on the door and tested her, and she tested positive. Well, since she tested positive on the ship, they just did the test right there. So now getting home, she is trying to get her insurance claim processed for the days that they missed of their cruise. And you know what? Their claim is being denied because it was a self-test that was used to make them that showed that they were tested positive. It was not one of those proctored tests. And so I find this very valuable because in my mind, I had the thought that since testing is no longer required, except for on those enhanced voyages, since testing is not required if you're vaccinated anymore, I thought that I didn't need to worry about bringing those tests with us anymore. But you know what? Hearing this Let's Go family members experience, I'm going to bring a couple of those EMED tests with me. And then if one of us tests positive, I'm going to go ahead and use the internet to do one of those tests and have it be proctored so that we have those official results. So I'm just putting that out there to all of you. Let me know, others of you that have tested positive on the ship, tried to file an insurance claim about it, let me know how it went for you. She doesn't say if it was like with Princess Insurance or a separate insurance carrier. She doesn't say what it is, but knowing that claims were denied because it was a self-test is enough for me to think that I need to go prepared just in case one of us or both of us test positive on a cruise, that we've got that proof so that we can submit it to get for any insurance claim that we need to have. Now, as I mentioned, it seems like everything that we are hearing is that dining is changing a lot on cruise ships. Everything that we read, it seems like cruise lines are trying to up their game on food, or the ones that were excellent are staying excellent. So I think that that's a little bit of why, as the quality of food on Princess fell off a little bit, I actually think that that's part of why it's a discussion, because Princess was having a hard time with it, but Celebrity and Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, what I hear from everyone sailing on those is they're not having any trouble. They're as good as it was before COVID, and if not better. Many instances it seems like it's better. So when they introduced the new Norwegian Prima, Norwegian did this really interesting concept called a food hall. And the way it works is you can go there, there's lots of seating, you order what you want on a tablet, and then they bring it to you. And they have a huge variety of what is offered. They say that the food actually comes to you really quickly. I thought it was kind of fun. They bought 2 actual authentic food trucks to decorate this whole area and do things with it. But the thing that to me is really interesting is he said that, you can eat your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner there. There are like 11, every time you eat there, for every meal, there are 11 different options for over 120 menu items with different menus of, like I said, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The options range from Indian cuisine to noodles and Starbucks. And so to me, that's a really interesting way to do it. It kind of elevates a buffet where you have to go stand in line and pick out what you want as you go. I love the idea that you can just order it there on your tablet and they bring it to you. I think that's very nice. Now, they also mentioned that they've got their Hudson's dining room. I love that he says it's the most glamorous room that they have that he has ever seen, actually. So that is clearly an elevated dining experience. But the other thing that I had never thought of before is he said that with their main dining rooms on the ship now, it used to be with the smaller ships that you would mostly have main dining rooms and then a few other dining venues, like the specialty dining that we are used to on Princess. But with the as you get these larger cruise ships and as cruising is truly changing a little bit, he said that on the Prima, they've got like 20 plus different dining options on that ship. And so in the main dining room, the menu is the same every night. He said that there is a large variety every evening. It doesn't mean that you just get 3 options. And so by the time you eat there on the 4th night, you're eating what you've eaten again. Absolutely not. He said that there is an excellent variety, but that it does not change throughout the cruise. So you can eat there one night, and order something, and the next night try something else. And there are 2 benefits to that he cited, and I actually really like them. One, he said, is that the crew is excellent. The kitchen is excellent at preparing those dishes. That the menu doesn't change every night. So every night they're making a change. He said with doing it this way, you get an excellent dinner every evening because they are used to preparing that dish again and again and again and again. And I love that. Hopefully it'll make it so that you don't get things overcooked or undercooked or your sauce is a little bit off. And I think we've all experienced that before, but it will be superb every time. The other thing that I really like is that passengers can plan on what is being offered there. So you can plan that knowing what is going to be on the menu and kind of plan your dining with that. And I love that option. For example, one thing that I love on Princess is every time it's the second formal night, and sometimes if it's a longer voyage, it'll be the 3rd formal night. That's when you have lobster. It's not on the first formal night. It's on that last formal night of the cruise. So you can just plan on that. And I was trying to remember when the beef Wellington was. I was trying to remember if it was the same night. I think it might be. I think last time I got the beef Wellington instead of getting the lobster. But that's a moot point. The point is I think it's really nice to know what to expect on different evenings. And if that main dining room menu, and mind you, you've got 19 other options of places to eat on the ship, but it'll help you kind of decide what you want to do with your dining. You can go the first night, see what the menu is and how much of it you want to eat, and then plan everything out. So I just wanted to point this out to you and see what you think. It sounds, from what I have read on Celebrity, and I am so excited to get on their ships and tell you about it from a firsthand, but it sounds like they are elevating their dining experience, and they have so many options as well. And then also on the Sun Princess, it sounds like they are going that way as well. I remember when I was reading the press release to you and talking about what it had, it said like 29 different dining venues, and someone said, oh, it couldn't be that many. It is. They really have that many on that ship. I went back and reread it. I've attended a couple of more webinars on it. Sounds like they really do have 29 different venues. And so clearly things are in motion with dining on cruise ships. And you know what, truly, I see good and bad about it. I tend to be a traditionalist in most things in my life. I can see why it's really nice to go to the main dining room every evening. They know who you are. They give you excellent service and you have good food to eat. I love that experience. At the same time, sometimes there is a huge benefit to mixing things up a bit. You find out you enjoy things that you would have never tried otherwise, and eating in places that you would normally never eat will broaden your horizons, and like I said, introduce you to something that you enjoy way more than you expected. So let me know what you all think about that in the comments below. So the next thing, let's talk a little bit about Santorini. Now, if there is something that I miss here, I expect those of you who have been to Santorini to say so. I'm not going to give you a whole overview of Santorini. I think that you can see that pretty good on our video, but I am going to tell you a few things that I think are worth knowing. Number one, Santorini is known for having it that they've got the option to walk up that sidewalk. It's a wide sidewalk going up. It's paved, going up the side of the mountain there. If you're not familiar with Santorini, it is like the caldera where the ship is in the water is the caldera. It's a volcano caldera. So the water, the lower point's here, and then the island is the edge there of the caldera. So you have to go up in order to get to where everything is. And so be aware that you can pay to ride a donkey up, or you can walk up if you want, but be aware of two things. Number one, sometimes you'll get a docile donkey ride up to the top based on what I've heard, but I have heard several people say, and like I've gotten emails this summer from people who like the donkey intentionally banged them up against the side and banged them there until they got off. So sometimes you're not going to get a smooth ride. The other thing is, think of a trail that is trod by donkeys all day long up and down. There is a lot of donkey poo there, and I've had several Let's Go family members let me know this summer that they chose to walk down not knowing this, and they said that there was so much of that on the walkway that it was unavoidable that you had to step in some to be able to get down. So choose wisely if you decide to walk up or down that trail. Be aware of how things are, and there you go. Now they do have the tram that goes up and down the side of the mountain as well. If you get off the ship early, I don't think you're going to have a long wait at all. And in fact, the line moves really fast, whether you're going up or whether you're going down. And the way that tram works is it does not, anytime I've ridden it, I do not have the feeling of like a drop. They go very slowly down the side of the mountain. It is at an angle. It's not straight up and down. So it's not like a drop, and it just gently moves you up or down the side of the mountain. It just takes a few minutes, and it goes very smoothly. So if you're worried about that, like Gordon has this thing with heights. He does not like heights at all. He is okay with it. He'll usually sit so that he's facing me instead of just looking out. I personally like to look out. But at any rate, don't be worried about that. It should work just fine for you. Now, another thing that is really important for you to know is if you're going to take that tram down, that's how you're going to get down at the end of a day, unless you have an all-day excursion that actually keeps you on the bus the whole time and drives you back down the hill right there to where you're going to catch the tender to go back. Most of the excursions tour you around, and then they leave you there in Thera, and then you take the tram down. The cost for the tram, I want to say, is like €2 or €3. It is not expensive at all, and if you've got an excursion, it's included. They give you the little ticket thing. And so, but allow some extra time. The line does move quickly, but it can be a really long line. And so if the last tender leaves at 4:30, don't be thinking at 4 o'clock you're going to go try to get down the side of the mountain. Include extra time in order to be able to do that. So that's an important thing to know. Another thing that I think is really important to know is if you're going to book a separate tour guide and your ship is going to dock at 7 o'clock in the morning, don't be expecting to meet them at 7:15 at the top of the mountain. Be aware that as is always the case, when they start running the tenders, the people who are elite and the people who have excursions booked are the people who are going to get on those tenders first. So add in some extra time. The really nice thing in Santorini is that they use the private boats there, the local boats. They don't use any of the ship's tenders, and the ones that they use are good size. Like a lot of people fit on those boats every single time. So it does go very quickly to get people off of the ship, but but just be aware it's going to take an extra few minutes. And if you are elite, you surely can get off and get over there and get on that tram to be at the top to meet your tour guide much more quickly. Now, both times that we have been to Santorini, we have booked an excursion. And the first time we did that, and what they do is they just take you, the tender that you get on for your excursion doesn't take you over to where you would be getting on the tram or walking on that trail I told you about. It takes you over a little bit to where the buses are waiting for you. The very first time we did that, it was really smooth. We literally got off of the tender, walked over, and got on the bus right there. It is a steep hill that the buses go up and down. This last time, though, that we were there, they did not manage it well at all. The bus, it was kind of congested there. There were lots of buses down there, and so they made everybody in our excursion walk a really long way up the hill. Now, some people that was okay for, but there were some people with health conditions or older people that were struggling, and it kind of made me, I was sad about it. I wasn't like mad, but I was upset for these people because I feel like if you say that, if you present the excursion in a certain way, and it was like easy, it was not like, what do they call it? It was not supposed to be strenuous at all. So anyway, they had to walk up quite a ways, a steep hill, to be able to get on the bus. Didn't like that. But then our bus, like you'll see, just took us over to Ia, so we had sightseeing time, and then over to Thera, and we had sightseeing. We ate there. We had a lovely time. And so be aware of that. And I don't really know the way to guard against that, but I would put my foot down. If you're with someone who is older, say, no, I'm waiting here for you to bring that bus, because we can't do that. So stand your ground. Now, the other thing that I want to make sure everybody knows about is when you go to Ia, that is the place where most of the pictures that we see that are so beautiful of sunrises and sunsets and out over the water and those beautiful whitewashed buildings with the blue domes, that's where a lot of those pictures are taken. And usually cruise ships are not in port, at least Princess isn't, during the time that you're going to be there for sunset. So be aware of that. But you can still get the most beautiful photos. So when they bring you there, you walk up this little hill, and then you're there by a church. Over to your right, just like walk down and walk for quite a ways. You go by a lot of shops, hotels, restaurants, that kind of thing. But keep walking so that you can get where you get the most beautiful photos that you want. You can do selfies there, but make sure that you see that whole area there. Don't just think that you stay right there in that little square or see a couple of shops and you're done. There is so much to see there. Now, the first time that we went, we had an excursion that took us there and then over to a black sand beach. We thoroughly enjoyed that. That is definitely worth doing if you haven't done it. And then they also drove us around the island a lot, which was also very interesting. Before I went to Greece the first time, I did not realize how arid their islands are. And on Santorini, they used to grow tomatoes were their main crop, but that has changed now, and it is grapes for wine. That is mostly what they grow. But I would say it is worth booking an excursion that you get to go see the island. That is very much worthwhile. And then when they usually drop you off there in Thera, there is lots of shopping. There is spectacular views off the edge, the main walkway there on the edge, so that you can see that. There are restaurants right there on the edge, so you can eat there with that extraordinary view. Be aware that it's going to cost more, of course, to eat there on the edge rather than it costs to eat in a street or two in, but definitely eat while you're in Santorini. Greek food is just outstanding. It's excellent. If you don't like feta cheese, ask for it without feta. They have a lot of things that you can order without feta. There are just so many options, and they are all absolutely delicious. So that's what I would tell you if you're going to Santorini. It's so beautiful there. Take every moment. Be ready to video or take pictures as you're on the tender going back to the ship. The first time that we went, in 2019, we got to ride on this beautiful old Greek sailing vessel. That was our tender to go back to the ship. It was extraordinary. And so just be ready for the unexpected to happen and for it to be absolutely wonderful. So I wanted to share all of that with you. And like I said, if you've got other things to add, put them in the comments below because it helps all of us. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is I've thought about this, tried to decide if I wanted to ask. I'm going to be brave and ask. So as you know, my videos are usually a little bit longer than you would see, a lot of like Don or Tony or some of the others doing their daily news talk about things shows. So here's what I'm trying to decide. Like we have, if you're not aware, we do have the chapters, and Gordon puts a little heading for each chapter. So if I'm talking about something and you're not really interested in that, then you can skip ahead to the next thing. So I think that is very invaluable. It helps you out a lot. But do you think I should be doing shorter videos and giving you less information? I wanted to tell you the way I approach it. This is how I approach things. As I move through life, I learn things by what people say, and I learn by what I read, videos that I watch. I learn in all of these different ways. And sometimes I just, don't think about it. But then an event will happen in my life where I'll be presented with a situation that something will come back to my mind that I've heard or read, and I'll be like, now I know how to handle this, or what to do about it, or why it's this way, or man, maybe I should do that just to be on the safe side. So that's why I tell you what I tell you. I try to not share a bunch of fluff. I'm working on that. I don't want to take away so much that we're not who we are anymore. I think it's really important that we're cruisers that love going, and we, my Let's Go family members are magnificent. So I think it's important to keep who we are. But would you tell me what you think? Should I make these shorter and cover a lot less? Give me your opinion and be kind. You can tell me constructive criticism kindly. And so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We have so much more to talk about with cruising. Indeed, I think that we've got a lot to share and would love to have you with us. If you appreciate these updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up, because it really does help our channel. And I will be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.